Hi, this is Dr. Abhinanda Gautam, and you are in the session 4 of video series Leadership in Business. Today's topic is empowering leadership. In this topic, we are going to talk about participative leadership, empowerment, and the relationship between the two in the organizations. So, before we proceed with the session, let's have a quick look on what we are going to cover. Understand different forms of participative leadership and empowerment. Understand the major findings in research on consequences of participative leadership. Understand the situations in which participative leadership is most likely to be effective. And the casual model of participative leadership. What are the potential benefits of participative leadership, and how do we encourage leaders to be participative? Let's have a definition of participative leadership. What do we mean by participative leadership? And what are the ways through which participative leadership is practiced? Participative leadership involves the use of various decision procedures that allow other people some influence over the leader's decisions. Other terms commonly used to refer to aspects of participative leadership include consultation, joint decision making, power sharing, decentralization, empowerment, and democratic management. Participative leadership can take many forms and include several specific decision procedures. Participation means allowing others to express their ideas. Empowerment in leadership means how leaders are influencing others by allowing them to participate, by allowing them to express their views and ideas so that those ideas can be taken for decision making or for betterment of the organization. So we are going to talk about the types of influence that leaders practice in terms of empowering their team members, peers, and members in the organization. These are the four types of participation, general four types of participation that a leader practices during his or her tenure in the organization. First is autocratic decision. We all know that. Consultation, joint decision, and delegation. In terms of autocratic decision, the leader keeps the decision-making power with himself or herself. There is almost no chances given to the team members or peers to decide or to think on behalf of the leader. So that is why it is said that there is very less influence by others because it is do what I say kind of an approach. Consultation. In this process of decision making, the leader takes views, listens to others, and takes important notes of the point of views of his subordinates or peers or even team members. But at the end of the day, the leader keeps the decision-making power again with himself or herself. However, it is not that the important views are not noted. Sometimes the collaborative idea, or sometimes he takes a new decision by combining all the point of views and generate a new decision by keeping all the point of views into context. Joint decision. This is high influence by others because now the leader is not influencing his power on making a decision. It is all the participants are asked to brainstorm, are asked to collaboratively think for the goodness of the organization, and the decision is made in total. In this case, the leader is the one that holds himself responsible by taking a joint decision with his team members. Delegation. This is another style wherein it is also called as high influence by others because in this case, there are different groups that are made by the leaders depending on the skills and competencies of the team members, and the group members or the group leaders are given power, a complete decentralization and empowerment to decide on behalf of the group, and they can take decisions. However, there is a clause that there should be pre-approval taken by the leader before the decisions are made. So these are the four types of decision making, or I would say participative leadership, when leaders would decide to go ahead with influencing others. As we can see, if we talk about continuum of decision procedures, it's autocratic decision, consultation, joint decision, and delegation. So there is no influence by others to high influence by others, because autocratic decision, there is no influence because the leader is all alone. He thinks, he decides, and he takes responsibility of good or bad happening in the organization. Consultation, there is a little bit of influence by others because leaders are happy enough to listen to others' point of views, but the decision making is still in the hands of the leaders. Joint decision and delegation are the high influence by others because others are involved in making a decision. Casual model of participative leadership. If we see that the decision procedures depends on various factors. What do we mean by situational variables? Because depending on the situations, your style of participation can change. Sometimes it is the importance of the decision, sometimes it's the distribution of knowledge, it's global congruence, sometimes it's time pressure, and depending on the members' traits and values. And that is why it is said that what kind of decision or what style of decision making should be practiced depends a lot on the kind of situational variables that the organization is going through. I would give you an example of Doug Conant. He is the ex-CEO of Campbell Soup. He is known for writing handwritten notes to his employees. So there was around 30,000 notes that he had written in his CEO tenure in Campbell. There was 20,000 employees in there. So you can imagine, on an average, an employee must have received more than once a letter by Doug Conant. He said that kind of personal approach, because those letters were not generic, that used to be written by himself specifically on their contributions. So according to him, that has encouraged participation in the organization. That has encouraged employee engagement in the organization, because employees had a feeling that if the CEO is watching us, what we are doing and in what terms we are contributing, the participation level automatically increased. In one of his interviews, he said that he also practiced management by walking around. What do you mean by that? The thought process of him was that he made it a point that he is going to walk 10,000 steps a day wherever he is, Mexico, Paris, Shanghai, Europe, wherever he is. He'll be walking 10,000 steps a day. So at any point of the day, he used to put his pedometers on, his walking shoes on, and has to walk around in the complex. So people used to be agile, people used to be on their toes because they knew that CEO is walking around. He used to stop by in any of the cubicles or cabins and used to talk to people. Now you have to be aware, you have to be involved, you have to be committed towards the organization to answer to the CEO's questions. So according to him, that has also helped a lot. That has created a culture in the organization. And other leaders also started practicing management by walking around, so that you get to know the information right from the horse's mouth, and the people get more involved, more committed, and more engaged. So these are some of the aspects, different styles, depending again on your management style as a leader, that what you would like to go for in terms of so these are the potential benefits as well, depending again on the situational variables and the explanatory processes that you use, that the decision quality can be increased, satisfaction level can be increased, there could be more skill development as well in the organization. So as you can see, I have already talked about it: potential benefits of participative leadership, decision quality, decision acceptance, satisfaction with the decision process, and development of participation skill. These are the encouragement factors, that how do we encourage participative leadership. Definitely there could be more suggestions, but within the time limit, I believe these are some of the aspects that a leader can practice in order to encourage participation, in order to give empowerment to people, in order to let people believe that they are important, that they matter, and that ultimately increases organizational productivity and also organizational performance. I would also like to give you another example of Vineet K. Nair. He's the ex-CEO of HCL Enterprise. And he has written a book, Employees Come First, Customers Second. So it was also known as EFCS HBP bestseller book, Harvard Business Press bestseller book. And in one of his TED Talks, rather several of his TED Talks and HBP interviews and other platforms, he mentioned that how he believes that if we put employees first, then what could be the radical changes that can happen in the organization. And the data that he has shown is like almost witnessing exponential growth. The growth he had is in billion Indian rupees. A lot of other leaders also tried imitating that fact, also tried influencing their employees through encouragement, through empowerment, and sometimes through emancipation of expression, of decision making, of participation, of allowing others to ask questions. So these are some of the ways, guys. See, recording ideas and suggestions, encourage people to express their concerns, and try to utilize suggestions and deal with concerns. It's important to understand that always the feedback is not positive. Always it cannot be praises. Always it cannot be blowing trumpets. So when it's negative, then how do we deal it with professionalism? How do we deal it as positive criticism and pave a roadmap for positivity and improvement in the organization? So guys, next slide is data time. I have taken a different approach in terms of how do we see or measure or reflect participation happening in another aspect that we keep on discussing always. The topic is women empowerment. And in 2020, McKinsey has done a research on what females are doing in order to encourage other females or empower other females, especially of color, in their tenure of leadership. And it is seen, as you can see, blue denotes women and black denotes men, that women have been doing significantly well in terms of listening, giving empowerment, in terms of providing allyship to other females. As you can see, I mentor or sponsor one or other women of color. I publicly acknowledge or give credit to women of color for their ideas and work. I try to enlist my peers in racial equality efforts. So you can see that there's a lot of efforts that are being invested or done by females, and those are sitting in power. However, as we are talking about women empowerment, this detail is definitely not encouraging, and that is why this is a plea through this platform to all my male counterparts or the females that are sitting in other organizations, that there must be further progress in the presentation of women in the corporate line. It's almost 6 years data, and you can witness that there is not much changes. Almost the data is constant since last 6 years in terms of women representation or presentation across the levels. Entry level denotes A, B is manager, C is senior manager, D being the vice president, E being the senior vice president, and F, C-suite. Can you see, like, it's 45 to 47% for entry level, and it's almost similar, 37 across throughout, 37, 38 for managerial level. And definitely even for C-suite and vice president, senior vice president level, there has not been any changes in the percentage of females occupying the spaces. It's less than 25% for C-suite level, which is definitely not a very progressive data. So when we're talking of empowerment, that should be from across all the corners. And definitely, I'm sure in 5 years down the line, the data is not going to be modest, but it is going to be eye-pleasing for the society and community that we work for. All right, guys, this is it for today's session. These are my details. Again, we are done with Empowering in Leadership, Session 4. As you can see, my email address is there, my website is there. If you have any questions, any comments, you can put in down there. Or if you want to have any further discussions, you can always email me. I would love to answer your questions. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And definitely, whatever you are doing, you must keep on doing in your best possible way. And I see you in session 5. Take care. Bye-bye.